here. That point is gone. But the thing is, if that point isn't needed for the actual analysis, then you have big trouble. Then you have to go back to the Vicon and then fix that problem. Okay. And then re-import.
Can you click on the models tab again real quick? Okay, so you still keep the... when you right-click on the name of the model, don't you click one as it being the active, set as active model? Does it matter which one?
Set active model means when you capture a new trial, then this work. This is important. But
so that's not important enough.
Once it is registered here, then it will maintain that name. So you are using that particular model.
We don't have to activate and inactivate again and again. We have to change the trial name.
Activation is not important at the moment. Activation is only important when you capture new trial with the Kwon3d. So just the straight processing is easy. But here, eventually, what will happen is if the model is the right one, if you have all the additional items, all done, then you will also have to register the static trial. This one as a static, right? Because that way, if you apply the static trial and then you go to processing, what it will do is it will also compute the secondary points. And then here, now you will see the list of the secondary points as well. Initially, if you don't, if you only import the data, then it will only show you the primary points. But when you change the model, which has the additional secondary points, then this one will show the additional markers. But if you do not register static trial, then typically those will be just missing. So you will not see any data. But by registering the static trial and then taking advantage of the static trial, then in the dynamic trial you compute the joint centers. Then the data will show up here. But anyway, whatever you do, simply apply and then apply process data. If you have the bodies, the segments are defined, then you will see all these checked. Okay. Right now we only have points, so it only shows up to this point here. But now it's okay. So what you will need to do is, with this data, you will actually try this. Okay, import it, and then you also add some. Why don't we do this? Let's add one secondary point, which is what is it? Let's write it. It will be Tchaikovsky, define right ASIS, left ASIS, and the mid PSIS. This is right side. Okay, and then you need to add a parameter here called inter-ASIS distance. Okay? Then go back to right here, define, and then register this as inter-ASIS distance. Instead of fixed, you will use, no, let's use fixed in the default value. Say OK, OK. Save this. Then the model, changing the model, save it. Then if you go to the static trial, processing, you will now see the inter-ASIS distance registered there. It shows up, and you don't have to compute this. If it's set to 0, then when you run the program, automatically it computes the inter-ASIS distance and registers it here. Now, right tip is on the list here, because if you go back to trial data, you already see the value here. Once you enter the reconstruction and then go to this particular secondary points, it already computes the secondary point from the data you have. Then you simply say apply. So from this point on, what you will see is you will see the hip joint. Is this hip joint?
Yeah.
the hip joint shows up here. Or go to model, points in the stick figure, find where's the right hip here, and then change the color to blue. That's my favorite color, and also a bit larger diameter. Okay, save this and then go to then you have a larger ball here for the right hip. So we know that it's working. And then go to the dynamic trial, you will see the same thing here. But once you go to reconstruction, right hip, you already have the data here. And you have the hip joint. So you add the secondary point in the segments the way you want, using the names in the new model, and then everything is done. Then you will be able to just reprocess the static trial and then also reprocess the dynamic trial. So by the time you have this one here, then you're ready to do an analysis.
Can you create some templates of these models and save them and just import those templates in?
Typically what will happen is you will use you already have the standard LB25, those things we created before. And this should include the second point here, right hip like this. And I don't know whether you will be able to copy this one by one. What will happen is you can drag this to the body model, create a new one here.
Just change it.
Points in the secondary here. From this point on, you will be able to select and then move it like this, copy. When you open this, you'll be able to set, and you have to change these things because you are now using different names.
Yeah.
That's why the nice thing is you sort of have standard names. And when you create this Jeff model here, you go through the primary and then use the standard names here we typically use. Then you will be able to take advantage of reusing the old ones. Okay? The problem is with the Vicon, we're now using these acronyms and strange names. But sometimes it doesn't really, it's not intuitive. Then in your new the analysis-oriented model here, you may give more straightforward names here, or the standard names. Then when you bring this in here, then you don't have to change anything because they're using the same names. Otherwise, in this case, it's knee point, and then letter epicondyle, you have to find.
Once we create a master model off of the Vicon convention, we can just save that over into our templates and then call that in.
The whole idea here is that this is the data depository, or the master data. Here you can save basically the models you have. So it is important to you for you to consistently use the names. Then you can easily bring the model back here and copy one by one. Okay. And then you will have to try these things on your own to eventually learn all this. But read the manual carefully, and then in terms of system modeling, all it does is just read the basic data, the positions of the markers, and then the force data. And from that point on, how you analyze data, that's up to you.
So we can create our own templates on Vicon utilizing the naming convention that we already have in Kwon3d, right? And we don't have to change it.
Yeah, either way. If, the easiest way is probably you come up with a standard name list, and then when you actually create the subject over there, you use that name. That way we are using the same names consistently. Or when you import it, then you modify the model using our standard names. So So whichever it is, but basically, if you unify the names, then you can always reuse some of them already created without changing anything. Because in the program, within the program, what it does is it always refers everything by name. So as long as you use the same name, it doesn't matter. Even the point sequence can be different, but as long as you are using the same name, then it should work. So.
Does that mean though, if we change the name after we import, does that mean that every single trial we bring over, when we do the copy, we have to change the name within there?
No, you
Or
import
we just
everything.
create-
You
we just
import
create.
all the trials at once, and then replace the model in all the trials. Then that's it.
Even if we bring more trials in later on another day. you just
Still
replace
okay.
it.
Use the old one for importing purpose, and then replace the model. So you don't have to do this way, that way. It's up to you. But what I do is I kind of go back and then re-import everything a lot. So